that note, like, do you have any memories of this rivalry from when you were younger? Because you are one of the people who's old enough to actually remember when the games were being played.
Yes, I am old. Yes, I did go to one game. I believe it was '08. I can't remember if we won or lost that game. I have to look it up. But just remembering the atmosphere there was electric. You know, it's one of the great rivalries in college football that just doesn't get talked about for some reason. Probably because we haven't played since 2010. But no, it's a special thing for each state.
How excited are you to go out and get into that environment in Columbia?
You know, I'm excited. I love playing in hostile environments. I love being on the road. Makes it feel like the team, you know, we only have each other to lean on. So, you know, it'll be a good test for our team, you know, with how many new people we have here and new coordinators. And it'll be a good test for us to see, you know, where we stand.
What's the most hostile environment you've played in, and how do you think it compares to what we'll be doing on Saturday?
You know, there are some good ones. I mean, Lubbock is good, of course. You know, they have their traditions out there, and you know, the University of Iowa is they're good as well. I really don't know what to expect. You know, I've heard stories from guys like Stuckey. So I mean, I'm really just excited. You know, see how rowdy it really gets out there.
What's a story Stuckey told you?
That's for another time. That's for another time.
What stands out to you on tape about Missouri?
You know, they're big, they're fast. They got two really good defensive ends. You know, their front seven is really, really good. And, you know, they got a lot of size in the back end on defense. But, you know, I think we feel comfortable with the game plan that we have. And, you know, it's just, I think it's going to fall on us to just execute and play our style of football.
You guys played 4 different tight ends. Just how do you feel like your different skill sets allow you to be so effective?
You know, I think I said it earlier in the year, but I think we have the deepest room in the country probably. You know, we got 3 guys that can go start anywhere, I think, and you know, and then we got a guy like Leighton Curie who's just a Swiss Army knife. So I mean, it's really beneficial to all of us that, you know, we can constantly rotate guys in and out and always keep a fresh body out there. And you know, that's one of Lubbock's big things is, you know, if the defense has to stay out there the whole time and we can throw out, you know, 2 new tight ends every time at them, you know, it's going to cause problems.
Deshawn, at the start of the week, Coach Lockwell talked about going through kind of the history of the rivalry for people that maybe aren't as familiar as yourself. What were some of the ways you went about explaining it? Like, is it PowerPoint? Is it just Tim out there talking? Is it using speakers? How do you go about kind of explaining some of the stuff to the student?
You know, we had a really nice video put together for us from a lot of guys that played here and that were a part of this program back in the day. And, you know, they basically went through from the history of it, of, you know, where it started and, you know, how it kind of built up throughout the years. And, you know, I think the guys really grasped that video really well. And, you know, they've also done their own research and seen their own things on social media. And, you know, they didn't realize how big of a rivalry it was until that time. And, you know, I think everyone kind of figured it out real quick.
Any names you remember from the people that were in that video that talked?
Well, Stuckey was a big part. Obviously, you know, you've seen his tweet or whatever that he put out that he hopes his kids never see that side of him, you know. He was big. We had a lot of former players on there as well. But no, like Coach Leipold will have to, if he'll let you talk, if he'll talk about it, then we'll share that.
Coach Leipold talked about wanting you guys to be enthusiastic more so than emotional. How do you kind of find that balance when you're in a game like this one?
You know, honestly, it's just another game. It's another box for us to check. You know, to us, it's, you know, at the end of the day, the ball's going to be placed on a tee and kicked off just like any other game would be. And, you know, whether it's a rivalry or whether it's just a non-conference game, however you want to look at it, there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. So just not to get too high, not to get too low. And, you know, I think we have a good balance of that on this team. And, you know, we're just going to go in there, play our style of football, and, you know, hopefully the chips fall where they may and we walk out with a victory.
You got into the end zone for the first time. What does that do for your confidence heading into this game?
Yeah, that was a long-waited time. You know, it felt good. You know, I think my wife and my mom may have enjoyed it more than I did. But no, it definitely boosts your confidence a little bit. You know, it kind of gives you that, hey, you're still here. You can still do everything that you know you can. So, no, it felt good. Happy that might be my easiest touchdown I'll ever have, but we'll take it.
Yeah, what was that like? I mean, I saw your hand go immediately up when you basically were just wide open. I mean, were you the first read on that, or was that kind of like an audible, just like, hey, Jalen, I'm wide open over here?
You know, that was kind of just to throw the hand up, and hopefully he sees it. And, you know, when you have a quarterback like Jalen, he sees everything. So, you know, just glad to be on the same page with him, and, you know, glad that he threw it out there for me.
Thanks, Deshawn.